Hey friends, Junior Staggs with Auctioneer University, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be one of the sponsors of a brand new show that's going to be produced by my friends at Brewer Street Mafia and Kel Media. It's called SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew. It'll be recorded live every Sunday night at 7:30. So if you're into sports, I like Alabama football. Maybe you're a Tennessee fan. Maybe you're into one of those foreign sports like soccer or cricket or rugby. I'm sure he'll cover it all, from local sports to professional sports and everything in between, every Sunday night, 7:30. While you're at it, go over there and give him a like. And if you're thinking about becoming an auctioneer, check out our website, Auctioneer U. That's auctioneer, the letter U.com.
In a world that moves way too fast, there's one place that feels like home. Tater's Place in Paris, Tennessee, where the sizzle of a smash burger meets the sound of laughter, and every plate tells a story. Bring the family, make memories, and taste the love in every bite. Live music, real people, and unforgettable food. That's Tater's Place, 3615 Highway 79 North. Find the flavor you've been missing at Tater's Place. Come and feel what you've been hungry for.
Hey folks, good evening. Jeremy Buckelew here with SportsCast, and glad to have you back with us here at the Brewer Street Mafia Studios. We are live in episode 2 of SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew. We do want to say real quick a thanks to our sponsors. Couldn't do it without them, Junior Staggs and Auctioneer University. Listen, if you ever wanted to learn how to be an auctioneer, no one better period than Junior Staggs, man of many talents, and one of those talents is known as the TikTok auctioneer. And if you want to learn that trade, then go over to auctioneeruniversity.com, and he can get you signed up to take one of his classes and get you licensed and be ready to go. And then I want to say thanks to Taters as well for being a sponsor for us. You know, Taters is one of our regular stops for our family. On Sunday afternoons, we'll go a lot of times after church, and it's not just a restaurant. Taters got a bike bar there, or a bike shop. If you need work done on your motorcycle, you got tires and everything else that you could ever want. And best thing about it is you can leave your bike and go in and grab a bite to eat while you're there. My son is one of those chicken tender and fries kind of kids, and he gets a smash burger at Tater's every time. We love the fried pickles. He loves the cheese curds. Just can't beat it. So I want to say, again, special thanks to them. Without sponsorships, we can't bring you this show every week. And so thanks to Junior Staggs and Auctioneer University, thanks to Taters. And listen, if you want to help support us and be a sponsor, just let me know. You can leave us a message in the comments, or shoot me a DM and let me know that you want to help sponsor SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew, and we appreciate it. And glad to be here with you tonight. I'm excited about tonight's show. The person I have sitting to my left really needs no introduction. If you've ever been involved with anything sports related in Henry County, you know this young lady, and I am thrilled to death to have her on the show with us. Coach Renae Lassiter, going to talk Henry County softball here in a little bit, but again, you wear so many hats. We'll talk about all those too, but Coach, glad to have you on the show. I know you've had a busy week. We'll get to that. But thank you for joining us here on SportsCast tonight, our second show, and excited you're here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me, and just wish you would have had me before you had Josh Wolf on, because he is a great guy, and just one of those people that you want to be around.
Sure.
But he knows his stuff, and I don't know that I can live up to what
now.
He had last week on this show.
I was thrilled to have Coach Wolf. I kind of joked with him and told him, I said, listen, really the pressure's all on you, because if you do a really good job, then, you've set the bar for everybody else who comes in. If we bomb, then, no big deal. But everybody know how Coach Wolf bombed on SportsCast. But no, it was a great show. I had a great time. I look forward to having him back on numerous times here as well. And appreciate you checking it out. We had a good time and a good show.
Good. He's a good guy, and we're very fortunate to have him here. Yeah. He's going to do good things with our program, and not just the program football, but just in the community and just in the school in general. He's just one of those people that you want to be around and that you want your kids around.
Sure thing.
Glad he's here.
Us too. Start each show with the best thing I've seen this week. Renae, what's the best thing you've seen this week?
Oh, man, I think I have two. One is not sports related, but it's one of those things that kind of really hit me, because it's a senior at our high school who had a bad wreck a few years ago or a few weeks ago, and then I was driving away from school on Monday, and I saw Caden Delaney coming outside with his class, and that just one of those things that gave me goosebumps, and just so glad that he's home and that he's back at school and he's back doing the things that he needs to be doing.
Good
so
deal.
I think that's the best thing that I saw this week.
Awesome.
On the sports field, sports-wise, it has to be Thursday night at Lady Patriot Field. Dixon County's in town, and it's going to be between us and them for the district championship this year with softball. It's, 1-1, ninth inning, 2 outs, 3-2 count on Breeley Pierpoint. Amelia Watkins at second base, and Breeley steps up just as smooth as silk and, hits the game winner. Amelia comes in to score, and we win 2-1 on a pitcher's duel. That was just a great game. If you weren't there, you missed it. You need to come on out and watch us play this week.
Plenty of opportunities.
These girls are fun. They're fun to watch, and there's no quit in them.
For mine, very similar to yours. I had a work trip this week, and so was down near Houston, Texas. And I don't get out just a whole lot, but it's always good to go on a little road trip, see other parts of God's country, and beautiful area down in there. And so I got to go to Houston this week and enjoyed that. It was a quick trip, turnaround, went Wednesday, came back Thursday, but like I said, just enjoyed being down there and seeing that. And the other sports-related, best thing I've seen this week is going to have to be your softball team. They are, as you said, they're impressive to watch. They are fun to watch. And, again, we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but just an outstanding group of girls and just doing what you can see the picture there on your screen now of this year's team, but they are something to see. The way that they play, their hustle, their grit, determination. Again, we're going to talk about all that a little bit later on, but for my best thing I've seen this week, it has to be the Henry County Lady Patriots softball.
Well, thank you. I think we put a good product out on the field, and it's not us. It's not the coaches. It's the kids and how hard they come and work and what they do out on the field. They're just grinders. They're players. They love to be out there, and we appreciate you coming yesterday to our tournament and covering the game, and on Friday night having it on the radio, which is awesome, giving these girls the, what I think they deserve. Sure. Some shout-outs and some support, and we just really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I always enjoy it. And, like I said, we're going to talk about the team here in a little bit. We'll talk about you for just a little while here. You grew up here. You're a Henry County gal and just played everything, I think, probably that they'd let you play, right?
I did. I wanted to play football when I was in the 5th grade, and my mom wouldn't let me. It was just one of those things. I grew up with my brother and my cousin and our neighbor down the road, and they beat up on me every week, but it was one of those things that I think they made me into the player that I was in every sport that I played. But, we had some knockdown dragouts in the backyard. We had the basketball goal that was connected to the antenna, and we had the brick on the ground for the free throw line, and that's what we did. I'd go out and they'd split up teams, and it'd always be my brother and my cousin against, me and the neighbor down the road, and the guys just giving me heck all the time, but it was well worth it. And, when I started high school, I started out and I was like, I'm just going to play basketball. And then I'm thinking, no, I think I'm going to play softball too. And then Coach Lax came to me at one point in time, and he's like, how do you feel about playing golf? I'm like, I've never played golf before, but I'll give it a try. He was wanting to start a girls' golf team. So that's who got me into golf, and just been very fortunate to play all of those things, and now have coached all of those things.
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember being a little bit younger than you are, not just a whole lot, but a little bit, and you playing for Henry County. Like I remember, and tell the folks, like your picture with some other young ladies hangs in Gamlin Gymnasium because were y'all the first team or one of the first teams to make it to the state tournament, right?
We were. It was my senior year. It's when Kitty Allen and all that bunch were sophomores, and it was kind of like actually this year with our basketball season. We had 2 seniors. The senior was Tanya Sensing, and she went down midway through the season with an ACL tear. So it came down to I was the only senior with a couple of juniors and a bunch of sophomores. And of course, Kitty was special. I mean,
Sure.
she's just a special athlete, and you knew at that time when you were playing with her that she was going to be.
She won't play at Memphis, is that right?
She did,
Yeah.
and could have played in the WNBA. I mean, she was that talented. But we were not very good. I mean, we weren't. I think we finished the year right around 500. We may have been a little bit below 500 going into the district tournament. And just something clicked at Dixon County one night. There's a team that had beaten us a couple of times, and we wound up beating them, getting to the championship game and playing Cheatham County. And Cheatham beat us for the third time that year. But it just kind of kick-started something in us, and we made a run to the state tournament. And I will never forget, and this was like, and you probably remember going into the games at Gamblin Gym and the football stadium when it was so cram-packed that you just had to stand.
Yep.
You know, there was nowhere to sit down. And I will just never forget going out on the floor at Hillcrest that night in our sectional game and looking up, and it was just, there was red everywhere. And we wound up going into double overtime that night, winning by 2 and getting to the state tournament for the first time. Just unbelievable feeling.
Right.
You know, it's one of those things. When the game was over, we got beat by Dyersburg by, I believe, 8 or 9 points that night. Going out, seeing my mom and my dad and my brother, and I think I just remember, I remember crying on my brother's shoulder because, you know, it was over for me.
Sure.
And, you know, that's such a big part of my life. And Henry County High School, a big part of my life. I cried however many years ago it's been when they took the old gambling floor out of the gym and put it in the dumpster and threw it away. So that just kind of shows you how I feel
Sure.
about Henry County sports. And, you know, it's, you know, and then Kitty and them, they went on 2 years after that and finished in the Final Four of the state tournament. And then we've had one more team since then. Okay. So it's just been a good run. It was a good run when I was in high school.
Got close this year with
We did.
Made it all the way to sub-state and ran up against a Bartlett team that was back-to-back and now back-to-back-to-back semifinalist for the state championship. But you're part of that as well. That's what you wear so many hats. I mean, I'm serious. Like, I don't mean that in a bad way. You just, like you said, you're coaching softball, basketball. You run the Henry County Sports Facebook page to keep everybody up to date on what's going on that week in sports. And every time there's something going on, you're there helping and supporting.
It's what we need to do.
Sure.
You know, we do it for the kids. I want the community to be involved. And, you know, somebody needs to let them know what's going on that week, because it's just one of those things where people are going to come out and support you if they know what's going on in this town. And that's one of the reasons that I love this show right here, because I think that this is going to be a platform for that to happen.
Yeah. We hope so. That's the goal of it. You know, talking before we came on there a little bit, that, you know, my goal is just to let folks know what's going on and just to talk about sports, because I love talking sports. I know you do too. And I remember, like I said, you playing on those high school teams and watching you, even as a little guy. But just when I know a lot of folks, when they think of Henry County, Renae Lassiter comes to mind.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I've always tried to do my best for this school and for the kids and for everybody involved. And again, it's one of those things where, you know, I would not be sitting here if it's not for my mom and dad.
I was going to say, like, you probably learned that from your mom and dad, because I remember, so my senior year, I needed an elective, and I thought, well, I'll take drafting because it looks like a fun class. And, of course, I had your dad, and I told him the other night, or his last season, I think, actually, when I got to talk to him, but I was standing there talking to him after a game one night, and told him that I still have in my dad's closet at home the blueprints of the house that I drew in drafting. This is the ugliest set of blueprints. It was the ugliest house that's probably ever been drawn in drafting. But, you know, I know that I don't think that I have ever been to a game that your parents aren't there.
No, I mean, it's been that way since junior high. I mean, they're just always there. You know, Dad stays home sometimes on the away games, but Mom makes every trip.
Yeah.
She is mama to every kid that I've ever coached,
Right.
I think. And, you know, it's just a blessing to have them over there. and supporting me. There have been times that I've tried to quit. Mom will say, "What am I going to do if you quit?" And also my brother. He was a great point guard when he was in high school, and I tried to pattern my game after him. If he did something, I wanted to try to do that, and I went in the backyard and I tried to emulate what he did. So I wanted to be my big brother out on the floor, and I think that's one of the reasons that I was as good as what people say that I was.
Sure.
I don't know how good I was, but people tell me I was okay. So
well, you've done all right for yourself, right?
We'll go with whatever everybody says.
So talk about that a little bit more. You finished high school. Y'all make a state run in high school. Then what?
Well, we actually went to the region my senior year in softball, which was we went to Brentwood Academy and played. And you talk about an eye-opener there. So kind of three first, because I made it to the state or into the region in golf that year too, having never played golf before. So that was a pretty good year for me. And then I signed a basketball scholarship with Bethel.
Okay.
We also got to play softball there too. They started the first Bethel softball team there. Played basketball for Buddy Wiggleton, who later came and coached with us at Henry County with Coach Curd and myself, and just kind of a full circle moment for me there. And and then I was actually the head coach of basketball for a few years, and my best friend passed away, and it kind of did a number on me there. She had 3 young boys under the age of 10, and I took some time off because I kind of felt like I needed to help with those kids.
Right.
I think that's what she would have wanted me to do, was help her husband with them, and they've turned out to be just unbelievable kids. So I'm glad I did that, but I missed it, so I wanted to get back into it, and Cliff gave me the opening to come back. And when he did that, then it just kind of opened everything up. Jamie needed an assistant for softball at the time, so I was able to do that. I've coached golf in the past. Katie Beth Glover made it to the state when I was there. So, and then we've had some success all the way around with that. And I'm just proud. I'm just proud that I'm able to come back, and it's just a neat thing to coach at your alma mater and the sports that you played.
Sure.
And just all the different kids that you get to coach, the different personalities, and it's just fun.
Well, and you're kind of, you talk about those full circle moments now. Of course, we're close with the Wood family, and so I think of Elena, that, she played for you guys, and now she's helping coach, doing a great job at Lakewood, but also helps at the high school. And so you get to now, like that circle just continues to rotate. That
it does. And Elena's going to be such a good coach. I mean, she knows the game of basketball. She relates well to the kids. And then we have Paige Roberts and J.C. Garino Flanagan, who also played softball for me. Yeah. So I'm working with 3 of my former players, and it's just, it makes you proud to see them come back and to give back to the community as well.
Tell us about, so before we came on the air, you were a funny story or an interesting story about when you played at Bethel. Is that right?
I did.
And so tell the fine folks that your story about spending the night in East Tennessee, I guess, or maybe one night.
Probably one of the highlights of my life, because I was a Pat Summitt. She was just the greatest to me when I was growing up. I can remember writing a speech about her in the 5th grade, and then when I got to Bethel, we recruited a girl by the name of Tracy Head, who was Pat Summitt's niece.
Okay.
So Tracy was a teammate of mine at Bethel, and she came in one day and she was like, "Do you want to go to the Tennessee-Stanford game with me?" I'm like, "Do I want to go?" Absolutely, I want to go.
What kind of a question is that?
I'd seen Pat out and about at some games and things, but opportunity to go to a Tennessee game, and they were playing Stanford. Stanford was number 1 in the country at that time. Tennessee was number 2. So I asked Shannon I could take somebody with me. So Shannon Martin went with me, and we rode up and got up there. Got to meet Pat. Got to go out on the floor at Thompson Bowling Arena and shoot some shots and do all the cool stuff. Then got to go to her house and spend the night. When you walk in, of course, it's a great house on the river. And I remember going downstairs into her basement, and that's where we were going to spend the night. That's where we were sleeping, and looking around, and there's gold medals and trophies and just jerseys and everything on the wall. And I'm just sitting there. I'm in awe. You know, it's just unbelievable. But it's probably, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and there's 6 or 7 of us down there. Plus Tyler was there. Tyler was a young boy at that time, and we were just having a good time, just having a good time.
Yeah, hanging out.
She came down the steps and glared those eyes, and she was like, "Y'all need to get to bed. I have a ball game tomorrow." I've never seen people run as fast as they did. We went to sleep, I think, just immediately. But what was the coolest part of it was the next morning we get up to go upstairs, and here she is getting ready to play the number 1 team in the country, and she's cooking breakfast for us, which just kind of shows the type of person that she was, and that's kind of how I've always wanted to be that coach,
Sure.
And it was just probably one of the highlights of my career.
How cold does your blood run when Pat Summitt is just glaring at you saying, "Hey, go to bed"?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I can't imagine playing for her and being in an intense game and getting that glare.
Right.
Because it was one of those things. Like I said, Shannon had just had ACL surgery, so she was on crutches, but man, she moved. When she told us to get in bed, it was everybody went and got in bed, and you didn't hear anything else that night.
I don't have. I should have gotten the picture, but one of the pictures I can remember vividly from the PI, and I don't know why. It's one of those deals. But one night, Henry County was playing Cheatham County at Gamlin Gymnasium, and I remember being in the gym watching, and like every head turns and looks, and Pat Summitt walks in the door, and she comes in, and she sits down right on the front row, right next to you, and there is a picture that was in the PI of her, and then you're sitting and you're watching the game and kind of bent over and intense, watching what's going on with Pat Summitt sitting right next to you.
Yeah, and actually another cool story about that was, that was after, I'd been to her house. I was actually the coach at Inman at that time, and had seen her and talked to her several more times and had a really good relationship with her sister, Linda.
Okay.
So when she walked in that night, I'm like, well, there's Pat. I'm going to go over there and talk to her, and of course everybody else was like, oh,
right.
My goodness. But right before Tommy snapped that picture, she saw him come down there, and she said, "I'm going to give you a pointer." I'm like, okay, I'll take it. And she said, "Don't look at the camera. Look at the scoreboard, look at the floor, do something, don't look at the camera." So my eyes are up at the scoreboard because Pat Summitt told me to.
Good advice, right?
Exactly.
So then you finish at Bethel and then come back, and you said, again, you've coached golf and you've coached softball and you've coached basketball. When, just a question off the top of my head is, you seem like just one of those people that, when are you going to step back and say, "I'm good"?
I don't know. I don't know. There have been several years where I've thought, well, this is going to be it.
Yeah.
I'm tired. This is going to be it. But then there's always another group of kids that comes along, and you don't want to leave that group of kids.
I was going to say, your passion, as passionate as you are about the game, I've seen you. I've watched you coach basketball games. I've watched you coach softball games for years now. And as much as you love those sports, your love for the kids is more evident than your love for those sports. Does that make sense? I hope that's not, I don't mean that in an ugly way at all. I know you love sports and love what you do, but it's easy to see and tell that you do it for the kids, not for yourself, not for anything else. It's for those kids that are out there playing.
Well, you're not going to, I don't think you'll ever remember the wins and losses. You might remember the big wins, but you're always going to remember the kids.
Sure.
I started coaching when I was 15 years old, and I'm still in contact with some of those kids. I started coaching softball at McNeil when I was 15, and then when I was 16, I started coaching AAU basketball, and it's just, I've been doing this for 35 years now, and I can't tell you the wins and losses, but I can still tell you the kids that played for me.
Sure.
I was fortunate. I got to coach the boys basketball team at Grove. I don't know if you knew this. I coached the boys basketball team at Grove for half a year, and that was awesome.
Sure.
It was just a neat experience to be able to coach boys for one time. But
how different is that from girls? Just because you don't see that very often. You see it the other way. You see a lot of men who will coach girls. And my Uncle Joe, coached at Puryear for years and was the girls' coach there. But you don't see those roles reverse a whole lot. Right. How was it as coaching the boys, and how different was it coaching the boys than it is the girls? I guess that's my question.
They don't listen as good as girls do. You can go tell a girl to do something.
It was because the boys know everything already.
They do, and that's part of it. I remember coming in that day, and I'm like, there will be the first day of practice. I'm like, there's not going to be any more behind the back passes. We're not going to do anything fancy. We're going to play fundamental basketball. And Dustin Patton, I told him, I said, if we're in a game and you throw a behind the back pass, I said, you might as well start coming to the bench because you're coming out of the game. Well, we got in one game and Dustin threw a behind the back pass, and I'll never forget. The play hadn't even finished yet, and he started walking to the bench. He was like, I knew I was coming out. So it was just fun. It was different. Sure. And I just love Dustin to this day. We actually won the championship that year at Grove, and I remember he came and picked me up, twirled me around in the air, and I consider him one of my kids, just like I do everybody else. And it was just fun. It was a neat experience.
You've gotten to coach a lot of great athletes that have come through Henry County. The Hudson girls, Sealy, Celia Lampkin last year. How much fun is? Again, we're going to talk about softball here in just a minute, but. Is it a different mindset when you've got those players who, they just get it already, and versus someone you got to work a little bit more with to bring along where they can reach the potential that you see in them. Some of them are already there, what I mean? Like they're top level. Then you have these other players that, you just kind of have to work up and take care of.
Well, that's a good thing about it. When you have the Caroline Hudsons and the Gracie Osborns and the Celia Lampkins, you use them to your advantage because the kids that are struggling, you say, hey, look, try to pattern yourself after these guys. I talk about Caroline Hudson all the time because she was a kid that, worked her rear end off. When I first started watching her play basketball, she couldn't, and our mom and daddy will tell you the same thing, she couldn't run and dribble a basketball, chew gum at the same time. But she worked her way into an NCAA championship All-American. So I use her quite often as an example to, hey, this is the way that you need to do things. And then when you have kids like that, you just get out of the way and try not to mess them up.
Coach, we're going to take a break, and appreciate you being here again, but we're going to hear from our sponsors. Then when we come back from this break, we're going to talk a little Henry County Lady Patriots softball, if that's okay with you.
That's
awesome. You don't mind talking about them for a little bit?
Not at all.
We'll hear what you have to say about that. We're going to right after these messages from our sponsors.
Hey friends, Junior Staggs with Auctioneer University, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be one of the sponsors of a brand new show that's going to be produced by my friends at Bruce Street Mafia and Kell Media. It's called SportsCast with Jeremy Buckelew. It'll be recorded live every Sunday night at 7:30. So if you're into sports, I like Alabama football. Maybe you're a Tennessee fan. Maybe you're into one of those foreign sports like soccer or cricket or rugby. I'm sure he'll cover it all, from local sports to professional sports and everything in between, every Sunday night, 7:30. While you're at it, go over there and give him a like. And if you're thinking about becoming an auctioneer, check out our website, Auctioneer U. That's auctioneer, the letter U.com.
In a world that moves way too fast, there's one place that feels like home. Tater's Place in Paris, Tennessee, where the sizzle of a smash burger meets the sound of laughter, and every plate tells a story. Bring the family, make memories, and taste the love in every bite. Live music, real people, and unforgettable food. That's Tater's Place, 3615 Highway 79 North. Find the flavor you've been missing at Tater's Place. Come and feel what you've been hungry for.
Back here on SportsCast with Coach Renae Lassiter of the Henry County Lady Patriots softball squad, and a little bit of everything else we've talked about. That there's nothing she can't do. And we've got. I want to say thank you to Kevin in the back. He's producing the show for us. And hey, if you want to ask Renae a question, we've got the Facebook feed up and going. And so you just type in your question, and Kevin will relay it to us, and we'll put her on the spot if anybody has anything they want to know from her.
The girls' softball team better not send in any questions, or they'll pay for it tomorrow.
Coach, speaking of the girls' softball team, had a great week this week. I think you sent us in some pictures and some videos, and so we're going to take a look at those real quick and just kind of tell us what we're seeing here. There's the this year's team? And
that's this year's group. We have 4 seniors, 3 juniors, 3 sophomores, and then 4 freshmen.
Yeah.
Abigail Long, I think, is missing out of that picture. She wasn't there the day that we took it, but man, what a great group of kids right there.
All right, and then coming up next, we got.
This was last year's sectional game that got us to the state tournament. And, the first year that we went when I was coaching with Jamie, I didn't think it could get any better, but it just seems like every year when you win one to get to the state tournament, it gets better and better. There's no better feeling than that right there.
Yeah, and you were building something here. We talked about it off the air, but you were building almost a dynasty of softball here at Henry County. I know you'd say it's not me, it's the girls. You got to have a leader, and you were that leader for these young women. And I mean, just the work that you do with them and
I couldn't do it without Paul Putman and J.C. Flanagan and Paige Roberts. Coach Putman is he's phenomenal. We joke with people all the time that it's like I have a half a brain and he has half a brain. So when you put us together, we have a full brain. We can get things done. That's what we say all the time. And, our philosophy is just to get out of their way, not mess them up, let them go play, and just try to create a culture of family. Because I feel like, and this has been my philosophy since I started, if you can get those kids believing in each other and playing for the person standing beside them and playing for the community, then they're going to come out and everything else will take care of itself. Jamie started it. He turned the program around and made it to 2 state tournaments. Sure. And it's just one of those things where we've continued to try to build off of that.
Picture of you there with Coach Paul
Putman. Yes, he's been one of my best friends since college, and when I decided to do this again, there was nobody else that I wanted to do it with. He was my first choice, and I hope he stays with me as long as I stay because he is brilliant. He's a great role model, and he knows what he's doing.
Here, you mentioned,
it's my mom and dad, my brother Rodney, and like I said, I wouldn't be sitting here in this chair if it wasn't for those 3 people right there. Everything that I do, they're there. They're in my corner, sure. And that picture probably sums up my coaching philosophy right there because that's how I want our kids to be with each other.
Right,
as a family.
And I think in the previous pictures it showed that with the way that the girls, they love each other, and you can tell
they do. They were excited. I mean, you can tell with that picture right there.
Right.
They are excited for the success of the person beside them, and they have squabbles every now and then. But when it comes down to it, they want each other to do the best that they possibly can do. And at that picture right there, I love that. You can just see the excitement in Noe's face and Celia's face, and Audrey there. It's just, and that, like I said, that feeling right there never gets old.
Right.
The intensity there, Lane and Allie and Andy. Andy's our cheerleader. If you've never been to a game to see Andy Barrett catch, you need to come out because she will get you going tremendously. You can see her over there on the right-hand side. She's fired up even after the game's over.
There are times when I get tickled because you're right. She has a fire and an intensity that is just contagious, I think, because it'll be the second batter of the game, and like Ireland will make a good pitch, and Andy will come firing out. Yeah, what I mean, and just excited, and that builds excitement by the others, right?
It does. I mean, she's our leader.
Yeah.
And when she's on fire like that, and it doesn't have to be getting a base hit or whatever. It's she's out there leading our pitching staff from that catching position, and they're all that way. I mean, they come out every day. They work hard. We tell them in practice, you get in here and we get it done, we'll go home. And I want them to be able to represent their school, play ball with their friends, and still have a high school life.
Right.
So even though they're kind of consumed with softball right now, we take time off, we take our spring break, and I think that has a lot to do with the success that we have too, because when they come back after spring break, they're ready to roll, and just like we've played 7 games this past week,
right,
and we played 5 of those in 2 days. So they've got to love the game. but you got to give them time to be kids too.
Sure.
And I think they appreciate that.
I had that picture of you in Caroline
Yes.
from several years ago. But again, she went on and started at Liberty, then went to Oklahoma State, played in a College World Series.
She did.
And now I think she's playing professionally. Is that correct? Or
She played professional for a summer, and now she's going to school
Okay.
to get her graduate degree. But we retired her number this year.
Yep, and the banner hangs there
Number
on the home.
66. It hangs on the home dugout, and then it will also be in our new wellness building that we have
Nice.
there at school. So very, very proud of her. And, we've got a lot of kids that were very special and went on and had good college careers, but I don't think anybody has done what she's done on the collegiate level. And, I think it was very, very deserving that her jersey was retired.
Sure. Talked about the week that you had this past week. It was a busy one. I know when I was leaving the ballpark last night after the games, talked to Reed. Oh, sorry, I had one more picture there. Yeah, there's you and Coach Curd from, is that this year's district championship or last year's district championship?
This year's district championship. And Cliff Curd is one of my very favorite people in the world. We've been friends for a long time, and I'm just happy for him and the success that he's had. I actually sat in on his interview when he came here first, however many years ago it's been. I was in on his interview and actually asked him a question that I think threw him a little bit. So we have a good time talking about that. But he was actually my assistant when I was the head coach there, and then we just kind of swapped roles. And we have a very good relationship. We get mad at each other and we fight. And
that's what families do, right?
But when it comes down to it, we both try to do what's best for kids and what's best for the program, what's best for the team.
Sure.
And, it's been pretty successful.
Yeah, so district championship last year, district championship this year, made it all the way to sub-state, as we said earlier. And so, again, not just a softball coach, but you got a lot of good stuff going on. You Renae, you have a lot of stuff that you are involved in, and I just can't say enough of that. It shows just how much you love these kids and how much you love Henry County, that you are involved in this stuff, and it's evident. And that's that's a pat on your back. I know that's not why you do it.
Right.
You don't do it for the accolades and the stuff that comes with it. Those trophies are great, but I think it's safe to say if you didn't win another trophy, you'd still get up every morning and love doing your job because of the people you get to do it with.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. The wins and losses they really don't mean anything. Sure. And when we go into a season, I actually make our softball schedule trying to lose ball games because I think you learn more.
Sure.
We tell the kids you never lose, you either win or you learn. But I try to set it up so that we're going to have some adversity at the start of the year so that when we get toward the tournament, we've been there and we've done that. This team is kind of backfired on me this year because they're just they're going out and it doesn't matter what type of pitcher we play, they're getting after it, and they're winning ball games. We went 7-0, like I said, this week, and
I think we actually have a weekend. I stole it off of Twitter. I hope that's okay.
That's great.
X,
Laura Lee Latimer does this for us,
yeah,
and I appreciate her.
That's your weekend review right there. 7-0 on the week, 2 district wins, a team batting average of .446, 2 players batting over .600, 4 batters with home runs, 3 pitchers with a win, 43 combined strikeouts, and a 1.465 ERA for the week. Yeah, that's a pretty good week of softball.
Yeah, that's a great week. So we did a good job of staying out of their way this week and just letting them go do what they do.
I was laughing. I was starting to say, I was leaving last night. I was talking to Reed and her mom, and Reed was like, we've played 11 games in 7 days or something like that. And then was talking about, and then we've got this week coming up. And but as you said, you talked about the Dixon County game on Thursday night, a 9-inning game. Ireland Beecham with 11 strikeouts.
2 hits.
2 hits against a talented Dixon squad.
Phenomenal.
I mean, and then turn around, play 2 on Friday night, win against a very talented Stewart County team who you said had beaten us earlier in the season, beat them 9-0. Reed Jackson, a big home run in that game. Rest for 30 minutes or so while Stewart County and Dresden play, and then come out and, no disrespect, but run rule Dresden in 3, beat them 19-4. Lane Latimer had two huge
bombs.
Home runs in that game. I don't know that those balls have landed yet.
I'm telling you.
And then turn around and play 2 more Saturday. Actually 3 because your JV played.
We did
early Saturday, and then varsity played 2 games. Just how do you do it?
Well, I slept all day today, so that's how I do it. But, I told the girls last night before the Lexington game, because it was going to be a full 7-inning game. The other two had been 70 minutes and finished the inning, so we had time limits on those games. But the Lexington game we wanted to play. They're a good team, always a good program, so full game. And I told the girls before the game, I said, look, I know you're tired. I know your legs are sore, but when we get to the state tournament, hopefully we get back, But the times that we've been there, you play back-to-back. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you might go to a game and play a game at 2, and then if it rains or whatever, it might be midnight before you play another game. And then you get right back up the next morning at 9 o'clock and have to play a game. So we have to be mentally tough. We have to overcome our emotions, and we have to go out on the field and play. And I told them yesterday before that Lexington game, I said, play this like it's the state championship.
Yeah.
And I think they went out and did that because Lexington had beaten us earlier in the season too, and we came out and we took care of business.
I was wanting to ask you because you said we were able to broadcast those games yesterday and had a good time doing it, but the first game we played against Dyer County was a 1-0 ball game. Mm-hmm. Great pitching duel by Lillian Eaton for us, and I can't remember the young lady's name for Dyer County, but it was a defensive battle back and forth. Bats weren't really hot on that first game, and so playing back-to-back with a talented Lexington squad coming up, how worried are you after that first game of, that's not our best hitting performance, and now we got to turn around and play Lexington?
Yeah, not really.
Sure.
Because in all reality, those games meant nothing. It's just an opportunity for us to go out, see good pitchers, and get better. The Dyer County kid was about 6'2". She spun the ball. She wasn't going to throw it by you, but she had a lot of spin on it, placed it real well. So it was good to see her and then go in and see a totally different type of pitcher with Lexington. Both teams are good hitting teams. I thought Lillian Eaton, she absolutely threw a gem as a freshman. She and Ireland both, and Lily Steele and Jaden Wilson even yesterday in the JV game. We've got 4 girls that can pitch.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you can stay in ball games. And then we've got some kids that when they get up to bat, I feel very, very confident that they're going to get up and win the ball game. And that's how you go into it. Even though we only scored 1 run against Dyer County is going to be back at the state tournament.
Sure.
So just coming out of there with a win was a win for our team.
Right.
Mentally and everything else. So and then going in to a Lexington team that had already beaten you and taking care of business really went a long way to helping us grow as a team yesterday.
Right. It has to build confidence because, like you said, they beat you earlier this season, and then 11-3 ball game. You may have saw it different if you listened to the broadcast. Like there was a play at third base that I thought was pretty clear that girl was out, and they called her safe regardless. 11-3 ball game. Big home run from Audrey in that game late to when they had closed the gap a little bit. It was like 8-3, I think, at that point, and then Audrey comes up, and I think it's a big 3-run home run. Y'all got a thing going right now with a dentist office here in town. Are they going to have any money left at the end of the year, or how is that working?
I hope not. We're $50 every time that we put one out, so we're hoping that continues, and Jay Travis will have to pay us a lot of money at the end of the school year. That's what we're hoping.
That's the goal, and it's a good goal to have. I want to tell you, I know, like when we did the ball game, I get to interview Coach Curd, and I think he has the same philosophy you do, and you have his philosophy that he hates it when I ask about individual players in the games because it's a team effort, and the team gets the recognition. But you've got some pretty remarkable young ladies that are playing for you, and all of them are. I don't mean but was it 2 weeks ago or last week? Lane Latimer was runner-up for National Player of the Year or the week in high school. I talked before we came on that when Lane steps into the batter's box, like the expectation, and I'm not trying to put any pressure on Lane or anything like that, but she's going to hit it hard, and she's going to, like, every time she steps in, like, well, here comes another 2-run, 3-run home run, whatever, from Lane, because she just drills the ball.
She does, and she's worked really hard to add muscle over the summer and the fall. She's been in the weight room with Coach Gregory, and he's made a huge impact on her, not on her softball skills, but just in her conditioning that has allowed her to do those things this year.
Yeah.
Tremendous confidence in her. Reed, we've moved Reed to the leadoff position.
Right.
Just had a gut feeling that, against Graves County the other night from the leadoff position that she might start the game with a home run, and she did. So we have her, and then you come back with Ireland, who puts the ball in play, and then you have Breeley, who started the year 0 for 22, just coming out of basketball and not having a whole lot of practice with softball, and now she's leading the team in hits.
Sure.
And then you got Lane, and then Andy, and then Lily, and then Maddie, and Audrey's batting ninth right now, and she hits the 3-run bomb yesterday. Lily and Eaton coming off the bench. I mean, we've just 1 through 14. They're good kids. They know how to play the game of softball the right way, and they want to win. They don't want to lose.
That's something that, of course, we didn't start really covering softball till last year, for the most part. But that was one thing that I even noticed last year and has followed over to this year. Obviously, there are no weaknesses in your lineup anywhere.
No.
And there are no weaknesses when you have to bring someone in off they're a stacked team of talented girls, and as you said, 1 through 14 can contribute at any time, anywhere, any place.
Yeah, and you've got to have that. I mean, to get to where you want to be at the end of the year, you have to have that from kids. Just like Amelia Watkins. Amelia went all year playing second base for us, starting there as a freshman. Andy's kind of beat up a little bit right now, so I've needed to catch her. She's caught 3 games in the last 2 days. So just being able to move parts around. Reed goes from making a phenomenal play at third to going into the dugout and me saying, hey, I need you to go play second base now, and then turns around and makes it a phenomenal play at second. And then yesterday made a phenomenal play catching on a ball that was right out in front of the plate. And it's just like that with all of them. I moved Breeley to center field one night and moved Audrey to left, and, they just went right on about their business. And it's just, as a coach, that's just a great thing to have, because you never have to worry about a situation where you've got somebody where they don't need to be, or it's a weakness. Like us pitching to people. When you usually get to the 7, 8, 9 in the lineup, you can kind of take those off because they're not going to hit as well, and your pitcher can just kind of that those are going to be outs. With us, it's not.
Right.
You have to pick and choose who you're going to throw to, and it makes it hard.
Yeah. So talk about this week you got coming up. I know you got games Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Thursday's been canceled.
Mm-hmm. So, and then playing 2 Saturday, I know. Anything Friday?
Nothing Friday.
So Monday night we'll host Camden.
We do.
Out at the ballpark. And then another big district game Tuesday night as Kenwood comes here. Mm-hmm. Wednesday night, maybe the game of the year, as we will go to Dixon County to take on the Lady Cougars.
Right.
I know you don't have to get your girls up for a game like that. They're ready to go. They're probably ready to go right now. If you were to call them and say, "Hey, we're going to Dixon right now," you wouldn't have to wait on any of them to get there.
I wouldn't. And they told me that as long as I wear my red breeches on Wednesday, we'll be okay. So there's an inside joke on that, but I'm gonna deck all out in my red on Wednesday. We're gonna go try to take care of business.
So then Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, rest a little bit. I assume maybe we all hit. We all do anything.
I think I'm gonna give them off on Friday, just because it's been 2 weeks that we've just been at it every night. And they've got to go home and study. They've still got to get up and take tests the next day and do all of that. So I think I'm gonna give them a little bit of break on Friday.
And so then on Saturday, play it's a doubleheader, I guess. We played 11 and 3.
Well, we've actually changed that. Adamsville called me today, and their pitcher broke her arm.
Ooh.
So they had to drop out. So we're actually going to play Westview at 11 and 1. So we're going to have a doubleheader with them, which is great because they have McCall Sims.
I was about to say
who's going to play at Tennessee. So they're a very good team. Yeah. I mean, they're always in the state tournament, and again, that's why we scheduled them.
Again, playing good teams makes you better.
Absolutely.
That's the way it works. And
Absolutely.
we see that everywhere in Henry County. It's not, I know you do it with softball, but it doesn't matter if it's softball, football, basketball. We schedule some tough competition because that later on in the year, those are the games that are going to show you what you're going to be seeing when you get to Murfreesboro, and prepare you better for that environment and that kind of competition than somebody you can beat in 3 innings.
Absolutely, and what we do right now, I mean, it really doesn't matter. We tell the kids we just need to be ready to play around May the 6th, because that's when the district tournament rolls around, and that's when we want to be playing our best.
So if we win Wednesday night, just assuming we take care of the rest of our district opponents, win Wednesday night, probably a really good chance, much like baseball, that we will host the district tournament here at Henry County High School.
Yeah, and that's the goal. Yeah. And it's our time this year to host the region. So,
okay. Awesome.
We're hoping we can go take care of business, and then we can play here on our field, which is a definite home field advantage.
Talk about that.
Oh, man. The community support that we have for softball is unreal. Collierville 2 years ago, when they came and played in the sectional game, their coach came over to me and he's like, "How do you get these people to come out? Do y'all, you let them in free? What?" And I'm like, "No, I mean, they're just here to support our kids." And it was an environment that night that he actually said, "Our kids don't know what to do." It was loud. The bells were ringing. The horns were going off. People were sitting up on the hill. People were sitting on the baseball dugout. And it's unheard of for softball teams to have the kind of support that we have. And I'm so appreciative of that. The kids are appreciative of that. And I'll just give you our very first game this year. I don't even remember who we played in our first game, but Audrey Hill got a hit. And she got to first base, and she took her helmet off. There was a timeout, pitch and change, something, and she just stood on first base. Of course, she's a senior, and she looked around, and she's like, "Man, I love this."
Yeah.
And that's what you want your
Sure.
kids. You want them to love it, and that's what it's all about. So just thankful for our community, and if I ever need anything, all I have to do is call and ask anybody, and they get it done.
Talk about that, because I know community support last year in I think it was the sub-state game when Houston was coming here. It had rained the night before, is that right? And the field was practically underwater. And you had a group of people show up out there at the field. Correct me if I'm wrong about that, but squeegeed water, stay dry, whatever had to be done to get that field ready for play at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, whatever time that game was.
It was unreal. We got rained out. We were getting ready to start the game. We got rained out, so they had to travel home and come back. And we were trying to get back and get it played, because if we didn't get it played, neither one of us were going to be able to go to the state tournament. So it was like one of those things where we needed to get it in, and our outfield was underwater.
Yeah.
I mean, there was standing water everywhere, and I'm like, I don't know how we're going to do this. So I sent out a message on Facebook, and I'm like, "Hey, if anybody would like to come out, we're going to start working on the field tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. I got there, and I got out on the field, and I turned around, and I'm like, okay. There were people walking up that I didn't even know, blowers and
fans. I remember there being like industrial fans out on the field drying it.
And just people coming in saying, "Do you mind if I help?" And I mean, it was unreal.
That's Henry County.
And that's Henry County.
Yeah.
And it sums it up. That sums it up right there, and why this place is so special, and why it's loved so much. And we get a bad reputation sometimes because of our crowd, because we are passionate. We're
passionate fans.
We are.
Yeah,
we are, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Absolutely not. But you talked about your team. 3 chances or so to see them Monday night, Tuesday night, Saturday. Want a big crowd, as many as can go to Dixon on Wednesday to show up for that game as well. But I'm telling you, folks, if you haven't been to a Henry County Lady Patriots softball game, you've got a couple more chances to come out and see these ladies, and it is impressive. Even if you're not a fan of softball, it is a fun event to sit there and watch the way that they support each other. But as you said, just top to bottom, just unbelievably talented. And you've got some opportunities this week to come out to Henry County High School and see them in person before the season's over.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on out and see us. I mean, whether we win or lose, you're going to be proud of those kids because they go out, and like I said earlier, they play the game the right way. They play for each other, and they play to represent this community. Yeah. We talk to them all the time about, hey, you see that sign out there on the fence? Those people paid for you. They paid to support you, so now you need to make sure that you represent them. And they do. Yeah. And that's on and off the floor, on and off the court, on and off the golf course, whatever it might be. And our kids know that, and they appreciate it, and they are going to play for you. They're going to play for this community. Yeah.
Coach, we appreciate you very much and everything that you do for Henry County High School and those kids, and want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. I hope you enjoyed it, and
I did.
We'll come back and be a regular guest with us. And,
anytime you want to talk sports,
we'll
I will.
Sit down and talk some, but appreciate you coming on here for SportsCast tonight. I want to remind everybody to check out the Mike Weatherford Show on Tuesday night this week. Mike's always live on Tuesdays. Got another good show coming up for you this week, and so check out his show on Tuesday. And then next week, join us back here at 7:30 when we'll have Rodney Littleton and Jamie Atkinson here to talk about the Henry County Special Olympics program, and specifically the gold medal winning basketball team that they have. And so that'll be next week's show here on SportsCast. But again, Renae, thank you from not just me, from Henry County. Thank you so much for everything you do. We love you. We appreciate you. And we're glad that you are a Henry County Patriot.
Thank you, Jay. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red. We'll see y'all next week.